All right, we're back with another video. It's been a little bit of a hiatus since week 2. It's now week 8, and we got a Jets dub. Been a little break, but we're back, and more importantly than ever, the Jets have gotten their first win. It always, when this day happens, when the Jets start off with a losing record and they get their first win, it's always one of those days like, oh, are they going to do it? Will they do it? And then they finally do, and it's just, you just feel so happy. And then the next day you can finally wear your Jets stuff and feel proud instead of embarrassed and miserable as we usually do. But first of all, I'd just like to say rest in peace to Nick Mangold, Jets legend, one of the best Jet centers we've had. 10 years as a Jet, true Jet for life. A heart goes out to his family and everyone in his circle. But my next point following that, the Jets win, yes, but Woody Johnson is the worst owner in all of pro sports. Longest playoff drought. He throws his players under the bus. And what I mean by that is what he was said on Tuesday or Monday. It's hard when you have a quarterback with the rating that he's got. I mean, he has ability, but something is just not jiving. Your ownership, the owner throwing his quarterback under the bus like that is despicable, considering he's surrounded his quarterback with everybody he has now. So he should be the first one to take the blame for it. Yet he doesn't, in typical Woody Johnson fashion. So how did Justin Fields respond? Earlier in the week, after the game, he said earlier in the week he was crying in his closet and crying. 26-year-old man, it's a shame. I feel terrible for him. I feel for him, and I'm glad he got the job done the other day, getting a touchdown in the air, getting the 2-point conversion with his feet. It was awesome to see. Did great. I give him props. And during the week, when asked about Woody Johnson's comments, he said, "It doesn't bother me. Of course, everybody knows I need to play better, and we need to play better as a team. And of course, no matter how the offense does as a unit, I'm going to get the blame. And I understand that. That's just what comes with the job. You can't let anything affect your mind. No matter if it's him, no matter if it's family members, even teammates. Sometimes there's going to be times where you have to be the only one who believes in yourself." That was well said, I think, by Fields. And then later on, after the game, coming out, saying the things he said, how he felt during the week, and how he was like pretty much broken during the week. But he kept the faith, and he had a great game. He did everything he needed to do right. Everybody yesterday did everything they needed to do right, from the offense to the defense. I give major props to the defense, finally making stops when it mattered most in the end of the game in the fourth, getting those big breaks. Getting those stops is what you need when, if you want to be a confident, competent team, you got to get stops when you need them. You got to get scores when you need them, and that's exactly what this team did. Big props to Tyler Johnson coming up with that catch. Mason Taylor, Isaiah Davis looked great. Mason Taylor with the touchdown catch from Breece Hall, which was awesome. That play was something. That was awesome. I can't lie to you there. That was one of my favorite plays in the last couple of years.
Take a closer look at him, and that just adds to the intrigue here down the stretch. Hall. What about it now? Tosses. Got Taylor for the Jets touchdown.
Tyler Johnson got the one touchdown from the air from Fields on 4th down. That was huge.
To Fields' right. Fields doesn't need to look away. Goes towards the end zone. It is caught. Johnson for the Jets touchdown.
Isaiah Davis picking up big chunks of yards throughout the game. I also think he should add that 2-point conversion, but that's down for debate. And also, too, how could I forget to mention Breece Hall? What a game by Breece Hall. He wanted it. He wanted that win yesterday, man. You could see 2 touchdowns with his feet, 1 in the air. That was insane. That was a great performance by Breece Hall. I wish nothing but the best for him, and I'm so happy that he managed to have that type of game that he did. And also too, Aaron Glenn in one of the in the press conferences after the game, he said, in order to win, you got to learn how not to lose. And yesterday was a perfect example of learning how not to lose. You did everything right with the fouls, the offensive drives, the defensive drives, picking up the points when you needed them, the early field goals, no stupid fourth downs. Yes, maybe in the beginning, but they worked through it and just kept moving forward, and that's all you want. That's all you want your team to do, is to just keep moving forward, forget about what just happened, and just keep going, focus on what's in front of you. I'm very proud with how this team performed. There's a lot of bright spots. It was a great game, really. Well, just a fun game to watch, very exciting. I haven't seen a fun, exciting Jet game like that since really week 1. And I mean week 3 with that punt, with the block field goal rather. But yeah, you haven't seen the Jets with that much life since. And I'm just glad they got the win. From Nick Mangold as well. That was really big for the fan base, big for everybody who likes the Jets, and it's just it was a good win. After last week, you know terrible loss the week before. Just every week, it's 7 weeks straight of just, will we ever get a win? And now we finally got it. And I'm not saying we're gonna win out or anything, but at least it's a nice, the monkey's off their back. You know what I mean? At least they got the win. Now they could focus on things inside their team. The ownership, really, I wish there was somebody else that could just fire him, but what are you gonna do? He's got to sell the team. And yesterday also too, they didn't win for the Jets. They all did it for themselves. They all did it to prove to everyone else that we're still NFL caliber football players. They're not proving it to the owner. What do you got to prove to this owner? He's a schmuck anyway.
So I'll keep this short and sweet. You're weak, you're out of control, and you become an embarrassment to yourself and everybody else.
They did it for themselves. And that's all. That's the bottom line. Then this team just showed you who they are. They all got grit. They got balls, and maybe it's not gonna go their favor every week, but if they can just play confidently and just consistently like that every weekend, week in and week out, I can't complain, because they've had some really really bad stretches over the last couple weeks, but that was something to smile about. Also, too, like as I mentioned, we're not making the playoffs. It just depends on what we're doing with the draft. And honestly, in the draft, my favorite guy is the Indiana Hoosier, Fernando Mendoza. I would love to get Mendoza. It would be awesome. Even if we have him, we're still a little skeptical, with Woody Johnson as our owner. Who is he gonna surround him with? What are we gonna have around him at the line, defense, receivers? He needs targets, he needs weapons, and we've had quarterbacks in the past that haven't been able to step into the role and fully, develop, which I think Mendoza could develop, and I think he's a very good player looking from looking forward, and I hope they could get a national championship too, because then that would definitely up his draft stock a little bit. Hopefully we get that 2 pick and we can pick him up. But yeah, Jets win. What else can I say? It was a great game. Just awesome performance. And you can't ask for anything else. A win's a win. But moving on from the Jets, we got the Knicks. They're back in action. Tough loss last night against the Heat, but they're gonna bounce back. I honestly think they're the best team in the East. Nobody's really gonna beat them. Just these young teams, like they might catch them on the road, like how the Heat did last night. Like young teams, they might, I think the Magic with Ponchero, they're gonna start kicking. They're gonna start cooking up. I think the Pistons might start cooking up soon. I'm not scared of them, but I think they're young teams that could catch us slipping on the road. But honestly, at home, I really don't see us losing to anyone. Celtics look garbage. The Sixers, they're all right. Like we're gonna beat them anyway. We own the Cavaliers, so the East is ours. As long as we stay healthy and just keep playing good. I like Mike Brown's use of rotations. I like the rotations we got going on. We got our bench is good. It's been good for 2 years. That's why everyone's like, oh, why? Well, you know what I mean? We've had the same team for 2 years. You know, we had a couple guys like Gershon Yabusele, Jordan Clarkson. You know, we added some big names, and I mean, well, not big names because I mean, but you know, we added some solid bench players, and they're doing pretty well. Deuce McBride's a bucket. He shoots threes from anywhere. Tyler Kolek, great. He's got good passes. He's a great point guard. You know, we're going to be pretty scary from here on out. OG Anunoby is just the workhorse. Josh Hart, the same thing. He just brings that fire. You know, everybody loves Josh Hart, but you know, I think the Knicks can. I think the Knicks have a good shot of getting it done this year. I hope. You know, we've had a lot of misery in the area. You know, we need a big playoff run from the Knicks coming up. I mean, I know it's a long ways away in like March, April, May, but they gotta do it now so that they can get the 1 seed, 2 seed going into the playoffs and coast. You know, we need to have home court advantage. That's all we need. All going here on out. We just gotta win the games we're supposed to win, and if we're gonna lose, at least lose with honor, you know, and respect. Don't get blown out. Don't be scrubs. You know, we're the New York Knicks. You know, we're not. We're not the Portland Trailblazers. You know what I mean? We're the New York Knicks. Come on, we're not the Seattle SuperSonics. You know, we play in the Madison Square Garden, world's most famous arena. You know, we gotta get a championship, bring a championship to the MSG this year, and I think this year is the year to do it. I hope so. I'm very positive. But back to the Jets, they're on the bye this week. You know, so may not have a video next weekend, depending on how bad the Knicks are. Maybe we get one. I'm gonna try to do more things for the Knicks, maybe streams. But that may just come unexpectedly. I may just do it one day and then post on my Instagram, hey, you know, doing the stream on Instagram, check it out, blah, blah, blah. You have the Instagram, follow me now, at Peesh Reacts. You know, I'm going to be trying to be more active, as I said. I'm active on the IG, so if you don't got me on there, get it now. But, yeah, I mean, you know, big things coming with basketball, you know. The Jets will be the Jets. So we just got to see how they perform, you know. We'll see. We shall see. It's a long, long year. I'm not saying they're going to finish over 500. No way. I mean, I did, but not today. I'm not saying that. You know, we'll see how it all goes. I mean, I'm excited to see how this season ends out, where we fall in the draft. If we could get a kid like Mendoza, that would be awesome. If not, you know, figure something out. Maybe a receiver or D-line, you know, the O-line figures, you know, get some young talent in there, you know. But, all right. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon. Have a good one.